All right, so you're 19, you love Rick and Morty, and you're convinced there's more to this whole manifesting thing than just wishful thinking.
Right.
You sent me a stack of sources on manifesting and reality shifting, and I gotta say,
Yeah.
you've piqued my curiosity too.
Oh, cool.
Let's dive into this.
Okay.
We're going to unpack these ideas, see what they really mean.
Yeah.
And maybe uncover some mind-blowing connections.
Sure.
Now, a lot of these sources mention quantum physics as proof that manifesting works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our thoughts can actually influence reality.
Hmm.
That's a pretty wild concept.
Absolutely.
But for this deep dive, we'll focus less on the how of quantum physics and more on the what of manifesting.
Okay.
What does it actually mean to manifest something? And how does that relate to this reality-shifting thing that's blowing up online?
Right.
One quote from the Neville Goddard source really jumped out at me.
Okay.
Everything depends upon its attitude towards itself. That which it will not affirm as true of itself cannot awaken in its world. It's like something out of a Rick and Morty episode.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, I can see that.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's a fascinating statement that suggests our reality is a reflection of our inner world, especially our beliefs and assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Neville Goddard is basically saying that if you don't believe something is true for you, it won't manifest in your life.
Oh, wow.
Your reality is shaped by what you believe about yourself.
So even if we're not aware of it, we're constantly creating our own reality based on our beliefs.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal.
Right, absolutely. And this brings us to another important concept from Neville Goddard. Determined imagination.
Oh, yeah. Determined imagination. That one caught my attention, too.
Right.
It's about repeatedly focusing on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, almost like you're already living it.
Mm.
Is this what people mean when they talk about visualizing their goals?
Visualization is definitely part of it, but Goddard emphasizes feeling the wish fulfilled, not just seeing it. He uses phrases like assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, almost like it's already a fact. And it's not just a fleeting thought. He stresses persistence dwelling in that feeling until it becomes your reality.
Okay, so it's not just about picturing what you want. It's about truly feeling it as if it's already yours.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand why those Rick and Morty fans are so into this.
Right.
Speaking of feeling, there's that wild story in the Neville Goddard source about the soldier who desperately wanted a discharge from the army.
Oh, yeah.
He mentally rehearsed his discharge day after day, feeling the relief and joy of going home.
Wow.
And get this, it actually worked.
That's amazing.
That story perfectly illustrates determined imagination.
Totally.
It wasn't wishful thinking.
Right.
The soldier created a vivid mental scene and completely immersed himself in the feeling of his wish being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And the key is he did it consistently every single day until his internal reality became his external reality.
Exactly.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
It's like he willed his reality into existence.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we've got this determined imagination thing.
Right.
But one of the sources you sent also talks about the sunshine flower method.
Okay.
This method is all about embracing so-called negative feelings instead of resisting them.
Interesting.
Doesn't that seem to contradict this whole focus on positive thinking that Neville Goddard talks about? I'm a little confused here. Help me out.
Sure. The sunshine flower method might seem like a contradiction at first glance,
Yeah.
but it can be seen as a way to accept and understand your current state before shifting to your desired state.
Okay.
Even so-called negative feelings are part of our human experience, and trying to deny them might actually hinder our progress.
So it's about being real with yourself, about how you're feeling, even if it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And then using that awareness to shift towards what you want to create.
Exactly.
All right, that makes sense.
Good.
Now let's move on to this reality shifting thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems even more out there than manifesting. The YouTube video you shared describes it as moving your awareness to a desired reality. So instead of trying to change your current reality, you're basically jumping ship to a whole new one.
Interesting.
It's like something straight out of Rick and Morty, right?
It does sound like something Rick Sanchez would try.
Totally.
And while it seems like a radical concept, it actually aligns with some of the ideas we've already discussed,
Okay.
particularly the focus on the power of belief and the importance of inner transformation. Reality shifting can be seen as a deliberate and powerful application of these principles.
Okay, so it's not just about daydreaming about a better reality. It's about consciously choosing to shift your awareness to a reality that truly aligns with your deepest desires.
Right.
And it seems like reality shifters take this whole visualization thing to a whole new level.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They actually create detailed scripts for their desired realities.
Wow.
Including things like their relationships, their appearance, and even their favorite foods. It's like writing a screenplay for your own life, only you're actually living it. That's insane.
That's wild.
Tell me more about this.
What's fascinating about scripting in reality shifting is that it forces you to be incredibly specific about what you want to create. It's not enough to just have a vague desire you have, to flesh out the details. Create a vivid mental picture and truly feel yourself living in that reality.
Wow. So it's about taking control of your reality and consciously crafting it down to the smallest details. That's some next level manifesting.
It is.
It's making me wonder if there's really something to this whole multidimensional reality thing that Rick and Morty keeps exploring. Well, maybe there is.
Yeah.
The connection between scripting and reality shifting and the concept of determined imagination is pretty clear.
Definitely.
They both involve consciously shaping your internal reality to align with your desires.
That's right.
This is getting really interesting.
It is.
So we've talked about determined imagination, the sunshine flower method, and now this reality shifting thing. It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see how these ideas are all connected.
I think so too.
But before we get too deep into that, let's take a step back and talk a bit about the foundation of all this quantum physics.
Okay.
Now, I know we're not going full-on science class here.
Right.
But many of the sources you sent suggest that quantum physics supports the idea of manifesting. Like, our thoughts can somehow influence reality at a subatomic level.
Interesting.
Can you break this down for me in a way that even a Rick and Morty fan can understand?
Sure. The key idea here is that at a subatomic level, particles exist in a state of potentiality, meaning they can be in multiple states at once until they are observed. This is where the whole observer effect comes into play.
Okay.
The act of observation is what collapses the wave function of a particle, forcing it to choose a specific state. So in a sense, the observer plays a role in determining reality.
Okay, so it's like reality is this fuzzy, undefined thing until we look at it.
Yeah.
And then it solidifies based on what we expect to see.
Right.
Kind of like how those interdimensional beings in Rick and Morty can shapeshift until someone observes them.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah. And some people believe that our thoughts and intentions can act as those observers, influencing the collapse of wave functions and shaping reality in accordance with our desires.
So it's like our thoughts are actually choosing a specific reality from a range of possibilities. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is a pretty radical concept.
But you mentioned earlier that this is still a theory, right?
Yes, it's important to note that the interpretation of quantum mechanics is still debated within the scientific community.
Okay.
There's no definitive proof that our thoughts can directly influence the physical world in this way.
Okay, so we're not saying that quantum physics proves manifesting works.
No, not necessarily.
But it does open up some pretty interesting possibilities, right?
Absolutely. And even if we set aside the quantum physics for now, the idea that our beliefs shape our reality is still a powerful concept. Whether or not quantum mechanics is involved, it's clear that what we focus on, what we believe, and how we feel about ourselves all have a profound impact on our lives.
So it's not about getting lost in the scientific details, but understanding that our inner world has a direct influence on our outer experience.
Right.
And that's where manifesting and reality shifting come in.
Yeah.
They provide tools and techniques to help us consciously direct that creative power.
Exactly.
This is all really making me think about those multiverse theories in Rick and Morty. Maybe those alternate realities aren't so far-fetched after all.
Maybe not.
But before we jump down that rabbit hole, I'm curious about something.
Okay, what's that?
You mentioned this idea of shadow work earlier.
I did.
Could you elaborate on that? What does it mean, and how does it relate to all of this?
Sure. Shadow work is about exploring the hidden parts of ourselves. The parts we usually try to keep hidden, our fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs.
Oh, wow.
It's about bringing those shadows into the light of awareness so we can understand and integrate them.
Okay, so it's about facing those parts of ourselves that we'd rather avoid. That sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
Why is it so important, especially in the context of manifesting and reality shifting?
Shadow work is crucial because those hidden beliefs and fears can often sabotage our efforts to manifest our desires. If we're not aware of them, they can create unconscious resistance and block our progress.
So it's like trying to build a house on a foundation that's full of cracks and instability.
Exactly.
You might get started, but the whole thing could come crumbling down.
That's a great analogy. Shadow work is about strengthening that foundation, about becoming whole and integrated so that we can create a reality that's truly aligned with our authentic selves.
Wow, this is really making me think. So shadow work is about bringing those hidden beliefs to the surface, and then what do we do with them once we've identified them?
Once you've brought those shadows into awareness, you can start to challenge them.
Okay.
Question their validity and ultimately transform them into more empowering beliefs. It's about reframing those negative narratives and replacing them with beliefs that support your growth and expansion.
So it's not about pretending those negative thoughts and feelings don't exist. It's about confronting them head on and then choosing to believe something different.
Exactly.
It's like choosing to rewrite the script of our lives.
Precisely. And that's where practices like meditation, journaling, and therapy can be incredibly helpful. They provide tools and support to help us navigate those shadows and emerge stronger and more empowered.
This is all incredibly fascinating, and I'm sure our listener is soaking it all in.
I hope so.
But we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
What are some key takeaways you'd like to leave our listener with before we move on?
I think the most important takeaway is that we have far more power to shape our reality than we realize. It starts with becoming aware of our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, and understanding that they are not fixed or absolute. We have the choice to believe something different, to think something different, and to create something different.
Wow.
And shadow work plays a crucial role in this process. By bringing our hidden beliefs and fears to the surface, we can begin to transform them into empowering beliefs that support our growth and expansion.
So it's about becoming conscious creators of our reality rather than unconscious reactors to circumstances.
Exactly.
And that's a pretty empowering thought, isn't it?
It is. It means that we are not simply victims of fate, but active participants in the unfolding of our lives. And that's a powerful realization.
Well said. Now let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll delve deeper into these ideas and explore some practical techniques for manifesting and reality shifting.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back. So far, we've explored the idea that our thoughts and beliefs can shape our reality.
Right.
And we've even touched upon the mind-boggling connection to quantum physics.
It is pretty wild.
We've talked about determined imagination, the sunshine flower method, and this whole reality-shifting phenomenon that's captivating so many Rick and Morty fans.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
But I'm curious, how does all of this connect to the idea of a deeper self?
Okay.
Some of the sources you sent, like the writings of Nisargadatta Maharaj, seem to point towards this concept of a self that's beyond our everyday thoughts and emotions.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this?
It's an intriguing concept. And it ties in beautifully with what we've been discussing. Both Neville Goddard and Nisargadatta Maharaj, despite their different backgrounds, emphasize the importance of self-knowledge, of going beyond the surface level of our personality and connecting with a deeper level of being.
Okay.
This deeper self or awareness seems to be where our true power lies. It's the part of us that's not limited by our fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs.
Right.
It's the source of our creativity, our intuition, and our connection to something greater than ourselves.
So it's like we have this incredible power within us, but we often get so caught up in our everyday thoughts and worries that we lose touch with it.
Yeah.
It's like Rick Sanchez getting lost in one of his crazy experiments and forgetting about the infinite possibilities of the multiverse.
Exactly. And tapping into that deeper self, that awareness can be a game changer.
Wow.
It's like suddenly remembering that we have access to the entire multiverse, not just the limited reality we've created for ourselves.
Okay, so how do we actually tap into that deeper self? What are some practical ways to connect with that source of power and creativity?
Practices like meditation, mindfulness, and introspection can be incredibly helpful. They allow us to quiet the mind, observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, and connect with that deeper sense of awareness. It's like hitting the pause button on the constant stream of thoughts and just allowing ourselves to be present in the moment.
And that's where the magic happens, right?
I think so.
When we quiet the mind and connect with that deeper self, we open ourselves up to a whole new realm of possibilities.
Right.
It's like suddenly having access to Rick's portal gun and being able to choose which reality we want to experience.
Exactly. And by aligning our thoughts and beliefs with that deeper self, we can start to manifest a reality that's more aligned with our true desires and potential. It's like becoming the co-creators of our own lives rather than just passive passengers.
This is all incredibly inspiring.
It is pretty amazing.
But I have to be honest, I'm also feeling a bit overwhelmed.
Really? Why is that?
It's like if we have this much power to shape our reality, why do we still experience things we don't want?
Right.
Why do bad things happen even to good people? I mean, if we're supposedly creating our own reality, shouldn't we all be living in a Rick and Morty style utopia by now?
That's a question that has puzzled philosophers and spiritual seekers for centuries,
Yeah.
and there's no easy answer. Some people believe that we're all part of a larger cosmic plan, and even the challenging experiences serve a purpose in our soul's evolution.
Okay.
Others suggest that we might be unconsciously creating those negative experiences,
Oh, wow.
that deep-seated beliefs and fears might be attracting unwanted events into our lives.
So it's possible that we're manifesting those negative experiences without even realizing it.
It's definitely a possibility.
Like our subconscious mind is running the show while our conscious mind is busy trying to manifest all the good stuff.
It's possible.
Hmm.
And it highlights the importance of becoming aware of our subconscious beliefs and patterns.
Okay.
Sometimes our conscious desires might be at odds with our deeper unconscious programming, leading to conflicts and challenges.
It's like having a self-sabotage button that we keep accidentally pressing.
I like that analogy.
So even if we're consciously trying to manifest good things, there might be these hidden beliefs and fears holding us back.
Exactly. And that's why shadow work is so crucial. It's about uncovering those subconscious beliefs and reprogramming them to support our goals and aspirations.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how do we even begin to uncover those hidden beliefs?
Right.
It's like trying to find a tiny screw in a giant garage. Where do we even start?
Start with self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings throughout the day. What are the stories you tell yourself? What are your recurring fears and doubts?
Yeah.
Notice any patterns, any limiting beliefs that keep popping up? Journaling can be a powerful tool for this. It helps you externalize those thoughts and see them more objectively.
So it's about becoming more mindful of what's going on inside our heads.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rick Sanchez analyzing a complex scientific problem. But instead of equations and gadgets, we're looking at our thoughts and beliefs.
Exactly. And once you start to become aware of those limiting beliefs, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this belief really true? Does it serve me? Where did it come from? Often those limiting beliefs are rooted in past experiences, societal conditioning, or fears that we've been carrying around for years.
And then I guess we need to replace those limiting beliefs with more empowering ones.
Exactly.
It's like swapping out a faulty circuit board in Rick's spaceship with a brand new one.
Precisely. And that's where affirmations, visualizations, and other techniques can be helpful. It's about consciously choosing to focus on thoughts and beliefs that support your goals and that align with the reality you want to create.
So it's not just about wishful thinking. It's about actively reprogramming our minds to support our desires.
Right.
And it sounds like this shadow work plays a huge role in that process.
Absolutely. Shadow work is about clearing the path, removing the obstacles so that our conscious intentions can flow freely and powerfully.
This is all so much more than just thinking positive thoughts. It's about understanding how our minds work, both consciously and unconsciously, and then using that knowledge to create a reality that truly reflects who we are and what we desire.
Exactly. It's about becoming conscious creators of our reality rather than unconscious reactors to circumstances.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
But it also brings up another question. What about free will? If we're all creating our own reality, what about the choices other people make? Does that mean we're responsible for everything that happens in the world?
The age-old question of free will versus determinism.
Right.
It's a complex philosophical debate, and there are many different viewpoints on it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Some people believe that we have complete free will, that we are solely responsible for our choices and actions. Others suggest that our choices are influenced by factors beyond our control, such as our genes, our upbringing, and even the laws of physics.
So it's not a simple either situation.
Right.
It's more like a spectrum of possibilities.
Exactly.
And I guess where we fall on that spectrum probably depends on our own beliefs and experiences.
Absolutely. And regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, it's clear that we have a degree of agency in our lives.
Okay.
We may not be able to control everything that happens to us.
Right.
But we can control how we respond, how we interpret those events, and what we choose to create from them.
So it's not about denying the existence of external factors, but about focusing on what we can control our own thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
Exactly.
And by taking responsibility for our inner world, we empower ourselves to create a reality that reflects our highest aspirations.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we are not just passive victims of circumstances. but active participants in the unfolding of our lives. And that's incredibly empowering.
It's like we're the writers, directors, and stars of our own cosmic movies.
I like that.
And just like Rick Sanchez, we can choose to explore different dimensions, experiment with different realities, and ultimately create a story that's worthy of our full potential.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Right.
Yeah. And remember, even the most challenging experiences, the ones that make us question everything, can ultimately serve as opportunities for growth and transformation.
So it's not about trying to control everything,
Right,
but about becoming more conscious and intentional in how we create our reality. And that includes embracing the inevitable ups and downs, the twists and turns that make life so interesting and unpredictable.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that life is a journey, and sometimes the most unexpected detours can lead to the most incredible destinations.
This has been an incredible conversation so far. I'm feeling so energized by these ideas, and I'm sure our listener is too.
I hope so.
But before we wrap things up, I want to go back to this whole reality shifting thing. It's such a fascinating concept, and it seems to be really resonating with people, especially those who are drawn to the multidimensional themes in shows like Rick and Morty.
For sure.
Can you talk a bit more about how reality shifting works in practice?
Okay.
What are some techniques that people use, and what are some of the potential benefits and challenges?
Sure. Reality shifting is essentially a conscious effort to shift one's awareness to a desired reality. It involves a combination of techniques, including visualization, scripting meditation, and even the use of subliminal messages.
Wow.
The basic idea is to create a vivid and detailed mental image of the desired reality, and then use various techniques to immerse oneself in that reality until it becomes the dominant experience.
So it's like using our imagination as a portal to another dimension.
Yeah.
And it sounds like scripting plays a key role in this process. You mentioned earlier that reality shifters create detailed scripts for their desired realities, outlining everything from their appearance to their relationships to their favorite foods. Can you give us an example of what a reality shifting script might look like?
Sure. Imagine you're a huge fan of Harry Potter and you want to experience life at Hogwarts.
Oh, cool.
Your reality-shifting script might include details about your Hogwarts house, your favorite classes, your friends, your magical abilities, and even the specific foods you eat in the Great Hall. You might even script encounters with your favorite characters like Harry, Ron, and Hermione. The key is to be as detailed and specific as possible, engaging all of your senses to create a truly immersive experience.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
It does.
It's like writing fan fiction for your own life, only you get to actually live it. But I have to admit, part of me is still skeptical. It all sounds a bit too good to be true. Are there any risks or potential downsides to reality shifting?
That's a great question. And it's important to approach reality shifting with a healthy dose of caution.
Okay.
While there's no evidence to suggest that it's inherently harmful,
Right.
it's crucial to remember that you're essentially reprogramming your subconscious mind, which can have powerful effects on your thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors.
So it's important to be mindful of what we're scripting and to make sure that our desired reality is truly aligned with our highest good.
Right.
We don't want to accidentally script ourselves into a scenario that's ultimately harmful or destructive.
Yeah.
Like one of those chaotic Rick and Morty adventures that goes horribly wrong.
Exactly. It's essential to approach reality shifting with awareness, intention, and a clear understanding of the potential risks and benefits. And it's always a good idea to seek guidance from experienced practitioners or therapists if you're feeling uncertain or overwhelmed.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
It's like having a wise mentor like Rick Sanchez, hopefully without the cynical sarcasm,
Right.
to guide us through the complexities of multidimensional travel.
Exactly.
But speaking of guidance,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what advice would you give to our listener who's clearly fascinated by these ideas of manifesting and reality shifting? What are some practical steps they can take to start exploring these concepts and potentially create a reality that's more aligned with their desires?
That's a great question. Here are a few practical steps they can take.
Okay.
First, cultivate self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Notice any patterns, especially limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
Okay.
Second, start journaling. Write down your desires, your fears, your dreams, and your doubts. Journaling can help you gain clarity, process your emotions, and identify any subconscious blocks.
Okay.
Third, experiment with different techniques. Try visualization affirmations, scripting meditation, or any other practices that resonate with you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, so find what works best for you.
Okay.
Fourth, be patient and persistent. Manifesting and reality shifting take time and effort.
Right.
Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately.
Yeah.
Just keep practicing, keep refining your techniques, and keep believing in your ability to create the reality you desire. And finally, remember to have fun with it.
Right.
This is about exploring the infinite possibilities of your own consciousness.
Yeah.
So be curious, be playful, and don't be afraid to experiment.
That's fantastic advice.
Yeah.
I love the emphasis on having fun with it.
Me too.
It's like reminding ourselves that life is an adventure and we can choose to approach it with a sense of curiosity, wonder, and even a bit of Rick and Morty style mischief.
I agree.
But before we get too carried away with our multidimensional explorations, let's take another quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up and leave our listener with some final thoughts to ponder. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up this incredible deep dive into manifesting and reality shifting. We've covered a lot of ground, from the power of belief and determined imagination to the mind-bending connections to quantum physics and the importance of shadow work.
It's been quite a journey.
I feel like my brain is about to explode with all these new ideas, but in a good way.
I know what you mean.
It's like we've just taken a wild ride through the multiverse with Rick and Morty, and we've come back with a whole new perspective on reality.
For sure.
But before we say goodbye, I want to make sure we leave our listener with some solid takeaways and maybe even a few mind-blowing questions to ponder. So to recap, what are the most important things we want our listener to remember about manifesting and reality shifting?
Well, I think the most crucial takeaway is that we are not simply passive observers of reality, but active participants in its creation. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions shape our experience of the world. And by becoming aware of these inner forces, we can begin to consciously direct them towards creating a reality that reflects our deepest desires.
That's a powerful realization. It's like we've been given the keys to the spaceship and we can choose which direction to fly in. But as we've discussed, there's also this whole unconscious aspect to it, right? Those hidden beliefs and fears that can sabotage our efforts, even when we're consciously trying to manifest good things. That's where shadow work comes in, right?
Exactly. Shadow work is about illuminating those hidden parts of ourselves, the parts we usually try to keep hidden so that we can understand and integrate them. It's about bringing those shadows into the light of awareness and transforming them into sources of strength and wisdom.
This is all so fascinating, and I'm sure our listener is feeling inspired to start exploring these ideas further, but I also know that taking that first step can feel daunting. What advice would you give to someone who's feeling a bit overwhelmed or unsure where to begin?
Start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire reality overnight. Begin by setting a small, achievable goal, something that feels exciting and motivating but not too overwhelming. Focus on cultivating a feeling of gratitude for the good things in your life, even the small things. Gratitude is like a magnet for abundance. So the more you focus on what you're grateful for, the more you'll attract into your life.
That's great advice. It's like those first few episodes of Rick and Morty where they're just dipping their toes into the craziness of interdimensional travel. Start small, get comfortable with the basics, and then gradually expand your horizons.
Yeah.
But as we venture further into this realm of manifesting and reality shifting, there are bound to be challenges, right?
Yeah.
What are some common pitfalls that people might encounter, and how can they overcome them?
One common pitfall is impatience.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We live in a culture of instant gratification, so it's easy to get discouraged when we don't see results immediately.
Yeah.
But manifesting and reality shifting take time, effort, and consistent practice. It's like learning to play a musical instrument or mastering a new skill.
Right.
It requires dedication, patience, and a willingness to embrace the learning process.
So it's not about expecting overnight miracles, but about trusting the process and enjoying the journey. It's like those epic Rick and Morty adventures where they face countless obstacles and setbacks, but ultimately prevail through persistence and ingenuity. But speaking of obstacles, another challenge that comes up in the source material is the idea of conflicting beliefs. Like, what happens when our conscious desires are at odds with our deeper unconscious beliefs? How can we address those internal conflicts and create a more harmonious alignment between our conscious and subconscious minds?
That's a great point, and it goes back to the importance of shadow work. Often those conflicting beliefs are rooted in past experiences, societal conditioning, or fears that we've been carrying around for years. By bringing those beliefs to the surface, we can begin to understand where they came from, challenge their validity, and ultimately replace them with more empowering beliefs that support our growth and expansion.
So it's about becoming aware of those internal saboteurs, those negative voices that whisper doubts and fears, and then choosing to replace them with more positive and affirming messages. It's like confronting those pesky interdimensional parasites in Rick and Morty that latch onto our minds and try to control our thoughts and actions.
Exactly. And by consciously choosing to focus on thoughts and beliefs that support our desires, we gradually reprogram our subconscious minds to align with our conscious intentions. It's a process of gradual transformation, but it's incredibly powerful.
This is all incredibly empowering, but I also want to acknowledge that there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with this understanding. If we truly have the power to shape our reality, then we also have the responsibility to use that power wisely and ethically. What are your thoughts on this?
I completely agree. As we delve deeper into these concepts of manifesting and reality shifting, it's crucial to remember that our thoughts and actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. It's like Rick Sanchez's inventions, which often have unintended and sometimes disastrous consequences. We need to be mindful of the ripple effects of our choices and strive to create a reality that benefits not only ourselves, but also the greater good.
That's such an important point. It's like reminding ourselves that with great power comes great responsibility. We have the power to create amazing things, but we also have the responsibility to use that power wisely and compassionately.
Yeah.
But with all that said, I don't want to leave our listener feeling burdened or overwhelmed. It's important to remember that this is a journey of exploration and discovery, and it's meant to be fun and exciting. So embrace the possibilities, experiment with different techniques, and don't be afraid to dream big. Who knows, maybe you'll even discover a hidden portal to another dimension along the way.
And remember, even if you don't end up shifting realities or manifesting your wildest dreams, the process of self-discovery and personal growth that comes with exploring these ideas is incredibly valuable in itself. It's like those Rick and Morty episodes that don't have a clear resolution or happy ending, but leave you with a sense of wonder and a deeper understanding of the human condition.
Well said. So to our amazing listener, thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of manifesting and reality shifting. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, some practical tools, and maybe even a few mind-blowing questions to ponder. Remember, the journey of self-discovery and creation is an ongoing adventure, so keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep believing in the infinite possibilities that lie within you. And who knows, maybe someday we'll all be hanging out in a Rick and Morty-style multiverse, sipping interdimensional cocktails and sharing stories about our wildest manifestations. Until then, keep those minds open and those imaginations firing.